Have you ever wondered why, even after showering and changing into fresh clothes, an unusual smell seems to linger? Or why soap, deodorant, and even a splash of cologne sometimes aren't enough to keep you feeling truly fresh? The surprising truth is that this has less to do with how often you bathe, and more to do with the areas of your body that rarely get the right attention. As we get older, our bodies change in subtle but powerful ways. One of the biggest shifts is in our skin chemistry. Aging skin produces more of a compound called 2-non-enol, which scientists have directly linked to the musty, old people smell many of us quietly worry about. But here's the important part. This isn't something you're doomed to live with. In fact, research shows that up to 99% of that odor can be reduced or even completely eliminated by paying attention to just a few overlooked spots. These areas aren't the ones most people would think of, which is why they're often missed in daily hygiene routines. Yet they're exactly where odor-causing bacteria and oils quietly build up, no matter how clean the rest of your body feels. In this video, we're going to uncover the 5 unexpected places where odor hides and show you how giving them a little extra care can completely transform your sense of freshness, boost your confidence, and help you feel comfortable in your own skin again. Stay with me until the very end, because once you discover the 5th area, you'll understand why no amount of soap, body spray, or even fresh laundry will solve the problem unless you start here. So let's begin. Number 1. The scalp line and the area behind the ears. This is one of the most commonly overlooked spots in daily hygiene, yet it's also one of the biggest culprits behind that musty, sour odor we often associate with aging. Think about it. It's the narrow strip of skin just behind your ears, stretching down into the crease where your scalp ends and your neck begins. It's such a small, hidden area that most people forget it exists, but over time, it can trap more oil, sweat, and dead skin than you'd ever imagine. As we grow older, the sebaceous glands around the scalp and ear region continue producing natural oils. But unlike in younger years, the body isn't as efficient at clearing away the buildup. Those oils combine with sweat and skin cells, creating a sticky residue that clings to the skin behind the ears and along the hairline. You might not notice it at first. It doesn't always feel dirty or greasy, but give it time and oxidation kicks in, releasing a distinct scent that becomes noticeable to others even before you catch it yourself. Many seniors believe their scalp is clean simply because they shampoo their hair. But here's the issue. When most people wash their hair, they focus on the crown and back of the head, neglecting the sides near the ears and the nape of the neck. That means the very area most likely to produce odor often remains untouched, day after day, and the buildup only grows. If you're not actually using your fingers with soap and gentle pressure to scrub behind the ears each day, the buildup doesn't just disappear, it compounds, layer by layer, day after day. Simply wiping the area with a damp cloth isn't enough. What's needed is a little friction, a touch of soap, and the consistency to make it part of your regular routine. I once spoke with Margaret, a 78-year-old woman who shared a surprising story. She confessed that she often felt uneasy when someone hugged her from the side. Her clothes were always fresh, her breath clean, her home immaculate, yet something still made her self-conscious. When we walked through her hygiene habits together, she suddenly realized she hadn't actually scrubbed behind her ears in years. It wasn't that she ignored hygiene, she simply never thought that tiny area mattered. So she made a small change. Twice a day, she began using gentle soap and her fingertips to massage and clean that hidden patch of skin. Within weeks, she told me, I finally feel like I smell like myself again. It wasn't dramatic or overwhelming, but subtle, like the way a pillow smells faintly after a night's rest, or the quiet scent noticed when someone leans close. These are the moments when odor makes itself known, and when it comes from behind the ears, no amount of clothing, perfume, or cologne can cover it. That's why this seemingly small adjustment can make such a big difference. Cleaning this spot thoroughly, yet gently, restores freshness and, more importantly, confidence. If no one ever told you this before, you're not alone. But now that you do know, your daily routine can finally start working for you, not against you. Number 2, inside the belly button. It might be one of the smallest features of the body, but when it comes to hidden sources of odor, the belly button carries surprising weight. This tiny indentation is warm, dark, and often just a little moist, especially for those who perspire easily or have a natural fold of skin over the stomach. And that combination creates the perfect breeding ground for bacteria, yeast, and dead skin cells to gather unnoticed, producing a scent you can't always pinpoint. Many people assume that washing the stomach area automatically takes care of the belly button, but unless you're deliberately cleaning inside it with a soapy fingertip or a soft cloth, chances are it isn't getting clean at all. For older adults, especially those with reduced flexibility or a little more abdominal tissue, this area often receives even less attention over time. And what collects inside isn't just harmless lint. It's a mix of sweat, oils, skin flakes, and microscopic debris that slowly packs into the folds of the navel. Left untouched for even a day or two, it can develop into a sour, earthy odor that lingers. It doesn't just stay contained either. That faint smell can cling to shirts, settle into waistbands, and even transfer to upholstery when you sit. The tricky part is that you often don't notice it yourself. Because it sits just beneath your own nose's radar, the scent becomes more apparent to those around you before you're even aware of it. I recall Harold, an 81-year-old gentleman who was always polished, crisp shirts, well-groomed, with a subtle touch of cologne. Yet his wife gently told him one afternoon that something still smelled off, even after he bathed. They changed detergents, tried different soaps, even experimented with body washes, but the odor persisted until they discovered the real culprit, his belly button. Harold admitted he hadn't cleaned inside his belly button in years. Once he started using a simple cotton swab dipped in warm, soapy water just once a day for a week, the difference was astonishing. The odor that had puzzled him and his wife disappeared completely, and he said he felt like a new man. The key, however, wasn't scrubbing hard or using anything sharp. That can cause irritation or even tiny cuts. All it really takes is a gentle touch, warm water, a little mild soap, and then a careful rinse with a clean cloth to finish. If you've never cleaned this spot with intention before, you might be surprised by how much fresher your whole midsection smells after just a few days of paying attention to it. The belly button isn't just a forgotten mark from birth. It's a real pocket of skin that requires care, like any other part of the body. And when you give it that small bit of care, you eliminate one of the most persistent and overlooked sources of odor that many older adults struggle with without even realizing it. If you're still with us and finding these insights useful, leave a comment with the number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a good time. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Your support allows us to continue creating valuable content to inform, guide, and inspire you. Now, let's move on. Number 3. Underneath skin folds. As we age, our skin naturally softens and becomes more flexible. For many, that also means the gradual development of folds or creases along the body, around the neck, beneath the arms, under the breasts, across the belly, or along the thighs. These folds often go unnoticed in daily routines because they feel like part of the body's natural shape. What many people don't realize is that underneath those skin folds lies one of the most common and most stubborn sources of body odor in older adults. Why does this happen? Because these tucked-away areas naturally trap moisture, warmth, and sebum. Sebum is the body's natural oil, meant to protect the skin. But when it builds up in hidden places, it becomes the perfect food source for bacteria. And when sweat and oil get caught in an area with little air circulation, bacteria thrive. They break down that moisture into compounds that produce strong, unpleasant odors. This is when the distinctive musty scent begins to develop. The challenge is that the smell rarely stays contained in just one area. It spreads quietly and subtly, a faint mustiness on a shirt collar, a damp odor coming from under a bra, or a sourness that lingers on clothing and bedding, even after a bath. The surprising truth is that the source often traces right back to these warm, quiet folds of skin that haven't been properly aired out, cleansed, or dried. I once spoke with Albert, a 76-year-old man, who had started showering twice a day because he felt like he could never quite smell clean. He used every kind of soap he could find, but by evening the odor always seemed to return. When we talked through his routine, he admitted something important. He wasn't actually washing or drying under his arms, beneath his belly, or in the folds of his skin. He simply let the water run over those areas and assumed that was enough. Once he started gently lifting each fold, washing it with mild soap, and then fully drying it with a soft towel, everything changed. Not only did the odor disappear, but Albert told me he even started sleeping better, simply because he no longer worried about how he smelled. The key isn't just washing, it's being intentional. You don't need to scrub aggressively or reach for harsh soaps. What your skin truly needs is warm water, a mild cleanser, and, most importantly, thorough drying. Taking a soft towel and pressing it gently into each fold for just a few seconds does far more than people realize. For those with deeper creases, a light dusting of cornstarch-based powder, unscented and safe for sensitive skin, can help keep the area fresh, dry, and comfortable throughout the day. These are the places we're rarely taught to care for. Growing up, many of us were told not to talk about them, not to fuss over them, to simply ignore their existence. But ignoring them doesn't make the problem disappear. In fact, neglect only allows odor and discomfort to build silently. When you finally give these hidden spots the attention they deserve, you may be surprised at the transformation. Suddenly, you don't just feel fresher for an hour or two. You carry a sense of lightness, confidence, and comfort that lasts all day. Now, let's move on to an area that often catches people off guard. Inside the ear canal entrance. It might surprise you, but one of the most persistent sources of body odor in older adults isn't from underarms or feet. It's from the ears. Not deep inside, where you'd need a cotton swab, but right at the entrance of the ear canal, the part you can see and gently reach with a fingertip or soft cloth. This tiny area, often skipped in daily hygiene, can quietly collect oils, wax, and environmental debris. Over time, these build up and produce a surprisingly noticeable scent. As we age, the glands in and around the ears tend to produce more sebum. Combine that with slower skin cell turnover, and the oils mix with wax and dead skin, gradually oxidizing. The result is a faint but persistent odor, one that lingers on pillowcases, drifts subtly when you turn your head, and may even transfer when someone leans in close for a hug or kiss. Because this buildup happens just beyond your own nose's range, you may never notice it yourself, but others often do. That's what makes it tricky. This isn't about deep earwax lodged inside the canal, and it's important to remember you should never insert anything into your ear. What we're talking about here is the visible outer rim, right along the front curve at the entrance. If you gently run a fingertip around that area and feel a sticky residue, or if a white cloth shows a faint yellow stain after wiping, it's a clear sign this spot hasn't been cleaned in quite some time. I once heard about Doris, an 82-year-old woman who prided herself on immaculate hygiene. Her clothes were spotless, her home gleamed, and she always kept herself neatly groomed. Yet her daughter noticed that when they sat close together, there was a subtle scent that didn't seem to match the rest of her. After some gentle conversation, they traced it back to her ears. Doris had always assumed ears were self-cleaning, as so many people are told, and she avoided touching them altogether. But once she added a simple step, wiping the outer creases and the entrance of the canal with a warm, damp washcloth, the change was immediate and long-lasting. She was amazed that something so small could make such a noticeable difference. The key here is consistency and a gentle approach. You don't need harsh scrubbing or strong cleansers. Simply wrap your fingertip in a clean, damp cloth, perhaps with a touch of mild soap, and carefully wipe along the outer ear and entrance. Always follow with a dry cloth to ensure no moisture lingers, since dampness can invite bacteria. That's all it takes. This tiny addition to your daily routine can transform how fresh and confident you feel, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Freshness isn't only about how others perceive you, it's also about how you feel about yourself. True confidence often comes from the quiet knowledge that you've cared for every part of your body, even the places no one ever taught you to think about. That sense of self-respect shows up in how you carry yourself, how relaxed you feel in social settings, and even in the way you rest at night, free from worry about hidden odors. Now let's move on to the fifth overlooked area, behind the knees and the crease of the lower thighs. It's one of the easiest places to forget because we rarely see it ourselves. Unless there's pain, stiffness, or swelling, most people never give a second thought to what's happening at the back of their legs. But this soft fold, where the thigh naturally bends into the calf, can be a quiet heat trap. For older adults especially, this hidden crease becomes even more vulnerable. Long hours of sitting, wearing trousers or stockings, and the natural tendency of skin to soften with age create the perfect environment for odor to form. Even if you shower regularly, sprays or perfumes can't fully mask what builds up in this spot. Here's why it matters. The area behind the knee contains a surprisingly high concentration of sweat glands, and because the joint is bent much of the day, air circulation is limited. That means warmth and moisture get trapped, especially during walking, sitting, or even lying down. And just like under the arms or beneath other skin folds, this damp environment provides the ideal breeding ground for bacteria that quietly generate odor. The problem is subtle, but its effects linger. A faint mustiness on clothing, an unexplained scent after sitting for a while, or even a sour odor that seems to return quickly after bathing, often traces right back to this overlooked fold behind the knees. The area behind the knees is often overlooked during daily hygiene. Because it's not a place people usually scrub with purpose or dry carefully after bathing, it gradually becomes a hidden collection point. Sweat gathers, dead skin cells settle, and tiny fibers from socks or pants cling to the skin. Over time, this quiet buildup creates a faint, swampy odor. It doesn't just stay on the skin, it seeps into clothing, lingers in bed sheets, and can even rise when someone sits for long periods in a chair or car. I once spoke with a gentleman named Ray, 74, who struggled with this exact problem. He had tried everything he could think of. He replaced his shoes, changed his socks twice a day, and even switched detergents, convinced that the odor was coming from his laundry. Yet, by the afternoon, that stale scent kept returning. It was frustrating and confusing, leaving him worried something more serious might be wrong. The truth came out in a simple moment. His wife noticed the smell was stronger whenever she knelt near his legs to help him with socks. That was when they realized the source wasn't his footwear or detergent at all. It was coming from behind his knees. Once Ray started intentionally washing that area with a soft cloth and mild soap every day, followed by gently drying with a towel, everything changed. To stay extra comfortable, he also added a light dusting of unscented baby powder to keep the skin dry without irritation. Within just a few days, the odor wasn't just reduced, it was completely gone. More importantly, Ray said he felt lighter on his feet, less self-conscious around others, and far more relaxed in social settings. Something as simple as paying attention to a forgotten area of the body restored his sense of comfort and confidence. And that's the power of small, intentional care. That's the true power of giving attention to the places no one ever talks about. It's not that these areas are dirty, it's that they're forgotten. And when you finally care for them with intention, the change is far more than physical. You don't just feel cleaner, you feel lighter, fresher, and more confident moving through the world. There's a quiet sense of assurance that comes from knowing every part of you is cared for, even the ones you never realized needed extra attention. As we come to a close, take a moment to reflect on something important. Body odor in older age is not a sign of laziness or poor hygiene. Instead, it's a natural result of how our bodies change with time. The real question isn't how often you bathe, it's whether you're cleaning the right areas with the consistency and gentleness that aging skin and glands truly need. You've just discovered 5 hidden areas that most people rarely think about: behind the ears, inside the belly button, beneath skin folds, the outer edge of the ears, and behind the knees. Each one on its own may seem small, almost insignificant, but together they can quietly become the source of that lingering scent many older adults notice, even when everything else looks spotless. The good news is these areas are simple to reach, easy to clean, and require no special products, just awareness and consistency. When you give them regular care, the difference is remarkable. It's not only about how you smell, it's about how you feel in your own skin. At the heart of it all, this isn't just about hygiene. It's about dignity, self-respect, and the confidence to step into every day knowing you are fresh, cared for, and fully yourself at every stage of life. And the more we talk openly about the things no one ever mentioned before, the stronger and more empowered we become, not only to age gracefully, but to age with intention and self-respect. Think about it. Which of these 5 overlooked areas surprised you the most? Was there one you hadn't thought about in years, or perhaps one you never realized could be the hidden source of odor? Take a moment and share your thoughts in the comments below. We truly want to hear from you. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Your perspective matters, and your experiences can inspire others. So please leave a comment and share at least one insight you've gained and how you plan to apply it in your daily life. Every comment adds value and helps build a supportive community where we can all learn from one another. Reading your reflections is one of the greatest sources of encouragement and motivation for us to keep creating meaningful content. If you found this video useful and inspiring, don't forget to like it, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit. Your support allows us to continue producing videos that inform, uplift, and empower older adults to live their best lives. Thank you again for watching, and may you always enjoy good health, happiness, and peace. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you never miss the next video.